You're going to count me in, right, Patrick? Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm Dacia Saenz. I'm a quality engineer on the motion graphics template team and also self-proclaimed Little Prince of Mogerts. And I'm so excited to be hosting today's Adobe Community stream. We're here every month on YouTube and Facebook. It's a chance to meet the team, to take a deeper dive into best practices, workflows, get some tips and tricks on specific parts of workflows with some of the talented folks here at Adobe. And we also take this time to highlight some of our creative, awesome, rad users here in our community, and get a sense of what they're up to, what they're making, and what tips they have for us too. So I'm super excited to talk about graphics, because that is, as the Little Prince of Mogerts, my number one thing in my kingdom. I think graphics are the thing that make content pop. I also think it can be a little bit challenging to figure out exactly how to find your voice, your visual voice, and how to give your content that look and feel that you want, and how to figure out how to even figure out what to make it, how to make them. So we're going to be talking about all the different ways, all the different tools, the spectrum and rainbow of tools that are possible to create graphics, to add to your content. But specifically today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the graphics that you can make natively in Premiere. And my awesome coworker, Annika Koenig, who's also a software quality engineer on the graphics team, has made this awesome demo for us with a few of her tricks and insights. So let's roll.
Everybody, this is Annika. I'm a quality engineer from the motion graphics team, and I'm super excited to talk about some of my favorite features inside of Premiere Pro when it comes to creating titles. So one thing I want to show you is how to upgrade your graphics to become source graphics. You can find the command from the top graphics menu. It will show up once you have a graphic selected in your timeline. This will create a project item in the project panel. Users who still use the legacy titler have told me that they wish that essential graphics could behave similarly to legacy titles, and are often surprised when I tell them that source graphics are basically the same thing. So let's say I have this lower third here on my timeline, and right now this is a placeholder because I don't know exactly what's going to go in there yet. But what I do know is it's supposed to always be the same when I use it multiple times. I will now upgrade this graphic to be a source graphic, which will create a project item that I can now rename to whatever I like. I will call this lower third. And now I can drag and drop the same graphic out to other places where I need it, like over here, or let's say where I have another interview part over here. I have my little markers set up so I know exactly where they're supposed to go. All right, and now let's say I want to edit these. So these are Barbie and Lee, and they are performers. So I can show you that now that I changed one, all the other ones are changed as well. So those changes ripple to the other instances. And if I have a spelling error in there, let's say this is Leah, not Lee, those changes will, of course, also ripple through all instances. Okay, so let's look at another cool feature, adding effects to graphics. Lots of users don't know that you can actually do this, and I think it's super cool. So first thing we need to do is bring up the effects panel. Let's just look for any random video effect that comes with the app, so no fancy plugins needed here. Let's go to the stylize bin, and then let's just take this one, color emboss, and see if we can do something fun. All right, so I have this little intro animation here going on, and let's just add a little bit more flavor to it. So in the effects controls, you can see my color emboss effect, and I'm going to adjust the relief slider. So we get this cool little offset effect here, and I'm going to crank this up to, let's say 40 maybe, and add a keyframe. So it starts like this, and then I get rid of the effect by putting the slider back to 0 right here. Let's take a look at that. Maybe do a little loop. Yeah, so I think that's super cool. If you look on the right, you can see that the effect is on top of all the layers. So this means that it affects anything underneath it. I now want to add another effect, but I only want it to affect the shape layers at the bottom. Let's say I want an effect to change the colors of both shapes at the same time. So I'm going to search for the Lumetri color effect and drag that directly on top of the two shape layers. So here are the shapes color 1 and color 2. And if I now make adjustments, it will only affect those layers and nothing else above it. I can now change the temperature slider and play around with different colors. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, that's it. I've run out of time to talk about more features about titling in Premiere Pro. I'd love to talk about at least 100 more, but maybe next time. All right, this was fun. Thanks.
Yes, I wish we had time for 100 more tips and tricks. Maybe we'll sneak a few in the next few minutes. I'm joined now by Annika Koenig, Software Quality Engineer on the graphics team that made that product demo. Hi, Annika. Thanks for that.
Hey.
Hi, and I'm also joined by Christopher Azar, who is one of our design leads for video editing in general. Like, let's make this workflow pop.
Hey
guys.
Dacia.
Hi, thanks for joining me today.
This is great.
This is awesome. Also want to shout out to everybody joining us in our chat. I see Kevin, what's up? I say Neil. I haven't seen Neil in so long. I miss you. Kevin, what's up? Dan McSweeney, man, I wish we were all like at Adobe Max hanging out, nerding out about graphics, but we're here and that's cool. So yeah, if you guys have a question, if you have any comments, please feel free to drop them in the chat and we're going to make sure and try to address some of those throughout. But I mean, I feel like I've delayed too long. Annika, Chris, tell me a little bit about who y'all are. Part of this show is about getting to meet the awesomely creative and talented folks here at Adobe, and I'm super honored to get to work with you guys. So yeah, Annika, what's your story? What's your life? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, thanks for having me, Dacia, and thanks for doing this today. This is awesome. So you know me very well, but the people here watching probably don't. I'm a software quality engineer, and I used to be an editor. A few years ago, I still edited news in Germany, and I was one of the first people to start with Mogurts. So my broadcaster started using Mogurts, and so funny, I was like part of a research group or something that Dacia did, and I was her guinea pig, and yeah, I got really into Mogurts, and oddly now, I'm a quality engineer now on the Mogurts team. I've been with Adobe for 3 years now, and it's been super fun. Yeah. How about you, Chris?
Hey, Chris. Hey, what's going on, Chris?
Not too much. So I am a designer on the Adobe team. And my team actually works a lot with the content creators to figure out what their needs are and figure out what they do and how to help them build on their creativity and how they basically work day to day. And then we take those user needs and we try and work with them to design workflows and features and sometimes even new products to help them create the best work they possibly can. And yeah, I love working here because we're just inspired by all the great work that the creatives do every day, and super excited to talk with the team here about a little bit of the work that we do behind the scenes when it comes to motion graphics and templates and After Effects and Premiere. Stoked.
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, I definitely say this is one of the dream teams in terms of listening to users and trying to figure out what the best possible way is to get users to a place where they are able to create their own unique content and unique look that helps them stand apart. You know, we are in a world where there's a ton of content being thrown at us at all times. We are oversaturated, I would say, in a lot of ways by content, and having some really killer motion design and content, graphics on your content can really help, make people stop scrolling and take notice, right? So that's one of the reasons why I think graphics are important. What about you guys? I see people struggle a little bit with this sometimes, and I want to just shake them a little bit and be like, you can do this, like, beef up the content. Like, why do you guys think graphics are important to sort of standing apart?
Well, I think graphics, obviously are a really good way to share information. And, first and foremost, they can be clear and give a little bit more communication about what's happening on screen. But they go so much further than that. The graphics can be really great for reinforcing or establishing a visual brand and identity. It's really can be an emotional component. And typography is like the special thing that can elicit so much feeling in an audience, just like the visuals or color or audio can in whatever you're creating. So it really is an important dynamic and something that's part of the storytelling. And something else we've learned this past year is that it also reinforces the accessibility of your content. We know a lot of the video content is listened to without audio, and folks have audio accessibility issues and needs. So having on-screen content that can be read instead of heard is really important to making your content as accessible as possible on the web, especially.
That's a really good point, for sure. Absolutely. What about you, Annika? What's sort of your journey been like coming from broadcast?
So I was always a really good and fast editor, but I was not good at creating graphics, and I had to create graphics every day. And we had some templates that were good and professionally made, but I had to create new ones every day, even though. And the journalist next to me was like, yeah, can you just add like a little bit of text and a list and a box? And I was sweating because I was not good at this. And all my other colleagues were not good at this either. So that changed so much when we started using Mogurts, because we now had templates that were not set in stone, but you could customize them. So I wouldn't have to create them from scratch all the time, and I was able to stop sweating. So that was really cool. And then, but now I am in fact a little bit better at creating graphics because I, worked with stock Mogurts so much that I now have like an understanding and a feeling for creating my own graphics. So that's a little bit my journey. I'm like more the editor. I'm the consumer of graphics. I don't go in After Effects and create them myself, but I learned how to create good ones in Premiere, and I learned how to use them in Premiere when they're coming from After Effects.
Yeah, so you keep saying this word Mogurts, and I know that like we throw it around like it's, just like we're saying Premiere Pro, but just in case there are users out there who are going to see this, like, what are we talking about? What is a Mogurt?
Yeah, a Mogurt is short for motion graphic template. And what it is, it can either be created from Premiere Pro or from After Effects. And it's an encapsulated graphic that has been turned into a template, and then you can use it. And there are differences between After Effects Mogurts and Premiere Mogurt. So let's start with the Premiere side. A Premiere Mogurt is basically a title that you then created into a template, and then you can use it over and over and change the properties. And After Effects Mogurt is different in the way that it was created in After Effects. And the After Effects author, we call it author or designer, whoever made it in After Effects, decides which properties are supposed to be customizable in Premiere. So that was really important for us in broadcasting with the editors who are not good at creating graphic. It's like to just give them the text and maybe
and get the motion designers to do the hard work, right? Let the motion designers deal with the graph editor in After Effects. And also save some time, right? Like I remember the days where, I was more of a DIY run and gunner, wore all the hats in the kind of content that I created. And, you'd have a misspelled name, or someone decided that they wanted to be referred to by a different title. You have to go back into After Effects, re-render out, replace that. You're basically dealing with footage at that point in Premiere versus something that is malleable and flexible and that you can change on the fly. So yeah, I feel like motion graphics templates have really been a huge time saver, and also have given this ability to access really higher level motion design than what sometimes we have time to learn, right? Especially in kind of fast-paced content creation.
I think that's a really good point. I think one of the cooler things, or things that I really like about our template system, is that it meets customers, it meets users, meets designers where they are. If they want to just quickly customize a stock template. They can quickly pull one in that looks really great, add a few things, and very quickly they're off to speed with a professional looking title that really stands out from everything else. If you want to start designing your own, you can do that really quickly too. And it can go as deep as you really want it to. So there's actually no limit. If you can think it up, you can essentially create it in After Effects. So it'll really, satisfy anybody, regardless if they're a beginner or they really want to go deep and learn a professional motion graphics tool.
Yeah.
So
and
yeah,
it makes the video so much, I don't know, it makes it pop, it makes it cooler, it makes it look more professional.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I just have my own video and I think, oh yeah, it's like a little video, and then I drag and drop some like free stock Mogarts or something, it's like, wow, this has changed the video so much, and it's basically
like color grading.
Yeah, it has a wow effect for me every time.
So tell us a little bit about Premiere Graphics. You gave us some tips on how to, one of the things, I'm going to bring up controversy. There is a little controversy between something we like to call the eccentric graphics panel and the legacy titler. We obviously have had users who have been around with us for a really long time, and we want to honor their workflows hands down. I know there's been a lot of investment on behalf of people and learning and the muscle memory that it takes. And unfortunately, for many reasons, which maybe you can help illuminate, we're moving away from that. We're building a new engine. Can you help us sort of, you brought up upgrading motion graphics to source graphics, which kind of, do the thing that we expect from live text templates, and that they live in the project panel. They can also be updated once, and they can globally inherit all those changes as many times as you've used them. What are some other things you can tell us about sort of what that transition is going to look like and how we're trying to best support our users through that change, if you will?
Yeah. So we know that there are still some users who use the legacy titler, and it's been called legacy for 4 years now. At some point it's going to go away. But it's not going to be tomorrow. Don't worry. And we're trying to make this as good and sensitive and transparent as possible. So users who are now on the latest version of Premiere Pro, they will see when they open up the legacy titler for the first time after opening Premiere, they will get a message from us saying like, hey, this is going to go away. How about you move to the Essential Graphics panel? And here we're also giving a link with some FAQs to make the transition easier. And right now it's in beta, so soon to come in a release of Premiere Pro. One important piece is that we are adding an upgrade command. So users who have an established workflow with legacy titles, they have hundreds of titles and projects, they need to bring them over to an Essential Graphics workflow. We're giving you an upgrade command so you can turn your legacy titles into graphics. Lots of people ask, like, why are we even getting rid of it if people are still using it? So it makes, for us, it's hard. We have two pieces of code, basically, right? And one thing is being updated all the time. So the Essential Graphics panel has an active product team on it. We're updating it every day. New features are coming in it. Legacy titler, not. There's no team working on it. But at the same time, we're bringing in new users, and it's confusing. It's confusing. We have two systems in place. And the legacy titler is in many ways outdated, and there are no updates coming. So we want to focus all our power, all our efforts in the new Essential Graphics workflow. But we don't want to rip it like under the,
Ouch.
what's an English expression? I'm German. We don't want to rip
the Band-Aid? I feel like it's worse. I feel like it's worse. It's like ripping the IV.
Well, we don't want to hurt.
We don't want to hurt.
And we are identifying like areas where legacy title users feel they're blocked from moving from a legacy titler workflow to an Essential Graphics workflow. And we want to close the gap before we end the legacy titler. So that's
Yeah.
what we're doing right now. We're focusing on our efforts on these blockers and trying to bring people over safely, and consciously.
Is it possible to share a little glimpse into the future of what some of those things are so that we can get people, to share their feedback and help us guide those decisions a little bit better?
Yeah, so one piece I already mentioned, which is the upgrade. So this is one big blocker. Like, if I have hundreds of titles, how am I ever going to bring them over? A second piece, I can't say too much about this because this is still like in exploration, is we know that one major issue is organization, and we want to improve organization for Premiere graphics. That means people really like, when we're talking about legacy titles, people really like that they have the project items and that they're easy to find in the project. We're exploring right now solutions for this gap in the essential graphics workflow, that when they're not in the project, but you have a timeline that is like 3 hours long and you have hundreds of graphics on your timeline, how do you find them? So that's the main problem we're trying to solve right now. But that's all I can say.
That's
Annika,
it.
do you want to talk about the new styling options?
Yeah, I
There's
heard
some cool
there was
stuff
some
in-
new things in beta.
Yeah. You mean
some of the things that are in
the
legacy
backgrounds? Nobody can hear us right now.
Go-
Yeah, let's talk about what else is in beta.
What's in beta?
Cool things coming up.
What's a beta? What do you mean beta?
First of all, let's
Okay.
back up the chain. Let's back up the chain. Yeah, what's a beta? What is this beta that we
Like
keep
the
talking
fish,
about?
like the
Those
no.
guys are mean.
fishes.
So about
this is a nice beta.
about a year ago, we introduced Beta Prime for Premiere Pro and other Creative Cloud applications. And it's a way for us to engage with users to engage with us, and to try features before we release them. For us, it's so cool because we get to put the feature out there and then talk about it. Before that, we just released it and we're like, hopefully it's good. I mean, we did user studies and so forth, but now we are reaching a larger audience, and that's why it's so cool. So anybody can get a beta build. If you go in your Creative Cloud desktop app, it's on the left side. You should see something like beta apps. And then if you click on it, you get all the applications that have beta apps, and Premiere is one of them. And anybody, you don't have to opt in or something. You can just get that build, and it's going to install next to your release build. So no fear of messing up your production.
Yeah, you can choose which one to be in. You can have them both up at the same time. They're totally independent.
Yeah, and they look different. And the icon looks different. It's like a white icon, and so you don't confuse those with each other. Yeah, and we have a couple of features in beta, and we have a forum where we introduce these features, tell you when they're live in the beta, and then we ask for your feedback. And the upgrade command, turning legacy titles into graphics, is one. And the other one is improvements for backgrounds. So if you create a text layer with the Essential Graphics panel or with a text tool, you have the ability to add like a background box to it. And we're adding 2 enhancements there. One is rounded corners.
Yes, finally.
Yeah,
Awesome,
Dacia and I have,
edges.
and also, yeah, we 3 on this call have been fighting. Like, we want this.
Yes.
And users have too. And we're really excited about that. And not just rounded, but you can adjust, like with the slider, how round it's supposed to be. Super round or just a little. And what's the other thing? Yeah, for background layers, you can also, if you have multiple lines. Yes.
Gradients.
Oh yeah, well that's not in beta. That's out.
Oh, that's out. It's out.
Yeah, great.
Out.
Yeah, gradients.
I got the scoop on this show myself, and I'm on the team.
Gradients for text layers. Yeah, that's in the 15.2, which was released a few days ago. like 2 weeks ago.
That's huge, especially for people who liked the gradients in the legacy titler. Now they can, add gradients to their heart's delight. So I think it's huge.
And I just want to call out also real quick that, we have users that are from all over the world, and we have to take into account the different sort of style norms, styles that they like. And so we definitely are taking that into account as we design and develop the tools, and we make sure that the EGP is on par with what is people are accustomed to using to build their titles in the legacy titler. We are taking into account our users globally and starting to upgrade those changes too. I see a lot of questions in the chat pod. I feel like a lot of them have been tackled. One that I do just want to turn on, call out, because it has been, I see it a lot in forums, and that is that people say that the graphics they look fuzzy whenever playback is happening, when they're in Premiere, and that when you pause, it looks fine, but when you play back, it's kind of looks not quite sharp. And I always thought it was a bug, because I'm a software quality engineer, and so I think anything is a bug if it doesn't do exactly the thing I think it is. But it's not. It was actually done on purpose for performance reasons. And basically, if you turn on your playback to full quality in the wrench menu, then we won't turn off that anti-aliasing, and things should look good. So, I learned something today, and I hope you did too.
And make sure it's not the what is it called in Premiere? In the program monitor, you have your resolution. That's it. You have your full, your half, your quarter resolution. That's not it. You have to go, as you said, Dacia, you have to go in the wrench menu, and then where it says like playback at full quality. Full quality playback is what it's called, I think.
I always forget about that wrench menu. And just recently, I was talking all kinds of smack, saying like, oh, you can't get transparent backgrounds in Premiere, only in After Effects. That's why I like After Effects. And then I got schooled that you can actually turn transparency off and on in that wrench menu. So guys, go explore the menus. There's lots of things.
It's always a little rivalry between Dacia and I. Dacia is like the After Effects expert and knows everything, and I'm like always the Premiere defender. Is like, you can do stuff too in Premiere.
I'm the facilitator in between. I'm like, guys, the design should have solved that. You should have known that there was transparency. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. We'll fix it. We'll fix it.
We're basically having graphics therapy right now, and I'm really into it.
It's a little bit of a joke, but it's
true though.
Teamwork makes a dream work. Like
it
if
really
you only
does.
have one point of view on a team, one discipline, it doesn't work. That's why the collaboration is key.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to thank both of you so much for joining us today. Before we head out and take a look into our customer spotlight, I just want to see if there was any last tips or tricks that you wanted to share in quick little nuggets of knowledge for our budding artists and current creators out there.
There's one thing I like to mention, and that is the power of styles. So let's talk about styles real quick. So they have been around for Premiere titles or graphics, or what do you want to call them, for a while. But now that we have the new caption system in place, we also have them for captions, and it makes very much sense for captions as well. So there's a style menu in the Essential Graphics panel. And then once you have your text set up the way you want it, the font, the colors, what else? Other properties you want, strokes, you can add that to a style, and you can have multiple styles. The cool thing we added just recently is a way to import and export those styles, because they always live in the project. If you create a style, you will get a project item and it lives in that project. But what if you create the next project, right? So you can import the style into the next project. So that's something I think is super cool.
I think it's really
worth
cool.
mentioning.
And a nice time saver. That's a really good one. Chris, any parting words of inspiration to our graphics creators?
I just wanted to thank all the creators out there. I'm just extremely grateful for this community and the engagement, and just keep all the feedback coming. I think as a designer, feedback is our lifeblood, and that's the only way we get better. So no tips, just gratitude. Appreciate it.
I love that. I love that. This has been like therapy, graphics therapy, and I'm into it. We have one more question that I'm going to take from the chat pod. I'm going to tackle it real quick before we intro our community spotlight artist. This one comes from Justin Brown on Facebook, and he says, "I'm new to Essential Graphics. Can Mogert's created in Premiere work inside of After Effects?" That one is a little bit tricky. You can always copy and paste layers from Premiere, copy them in Premiere and paste them into After Effects, and that will work for most properties. There's some properties in Premiere that aren't supported, like we support multi-strokes on shapes and text layers, and that's just not something that After Effects can do. We also have a really simple text background box that I wish we could do in After Effects. Victoria, if you're watching, please, I want it. You can just literally add a background box with the check. That's also something that won't translate over to After Effects. So, in general, the vibe tends to be like After Effects to Premiere. And then the ones that you make in Premiere can be used in Rush, or what's now called, Rush. So, I hope that answers your question. There is some flexibility there, but for the most part, you copy and paste is your friend, and with some caveats. I want to thank Annika and Chris so much for joining us, and we'll see them in just a little while, because right now what we're going to be doing is shining our community spotlight on one of our awesome rad content creators. His name is Jared Brady. He's a content creator, musician, podcaster, producer, editor. He does all the things. You might recognize him from MTV. He's also been on Jimmy Kimmel, and he's worked with artists like Talib Kweli and Jade Nova. I just watched his awesome music video called Enjoy Your Life, which you can go check out on YouTube. That's rad, giving me some awesome Anderson .Paak vibes. And the thing I like about Jared, and like many creatives today, he has really taken a DIY approach to learning video editing and sound engineering and lighting. He's been an editor on his wife's really awesome YouTube channel called Shan Booty. Shan Boodram is a well-known intimacy expert, and her YouTube channel is fire. It's very sexy. So he made a little video today to tell us about just how graphics have helped them shape their content. And let's roll that video now.
My beautiful people, I'm going to show you something so dope today, so easy to use, something that I use all the time that is going to level up your content today, because Premiere's Essential Graphics are the easiest way to take your content to the next level, even if you have little to no experience with editing. One of my go-to graphics by Premiere is titled Black and White Bold Title. You can find it on the right side of your screen. Just go to the Essential Graphics tab. Just type in Black and White Bold. If you don't have it, just click the Adobe stock and consider adding it to your library of graphics. I find myself going back to this often. Now, without further ado, let's just show you what it looks like.
And now I'm bringing that bad boy back, and I'm adding in more tips and techniques that I've acquired throughout the years. I'm going to be breaking down my top 5 seduction techniques that I think are extremely impactful.
Now, if you noticed, I used 2 different graphics in combination. The first one that comes in is titled Bold Pop-Up Title. And right when that is on its way out, I bring in the black and white title. Also, if you notice, it's not black and white, because you can customize this to whatever color you want. The same goes for the bold pop-up title. Its preset is red, but I changed it to pink because, pink pops. These graphics bring movement and life to your footage. It's so easy to use. Now, the black and white bold title actually has 8 different styles of text and movements that all look top notch. Adding these graphics literally took me 5 minutes. So take 5 minutes of your time, go play with them. I mean, you might not have a beautiful model like my wife that's sitting there, but you can still take your content to the next level. Peace.
Yeah. What's up, Jared?
What's
Welcome.
going on, everybody?
First of all, beautiful video.
Awesome.
Also, can you please just teleport me to wherever you're at?
Come on by.
Looks
The
relaxed.
backyard.
looks like vibes I can create in.
Can I come?
Let's all
Come
go.
on down. We got plenty of room.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh man, happy to be here.
Cool. I mean, you are creating so much content. I think the thing that I most resonate with is that you're self-taught. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how did you get started in editing specifically, since, we're talking about Premiere, and what was your approach to graphics when you first started, like before you discovered Mogarts?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely been a journey. I guess when I first started, the motivation was just like, I don't want to depend on anybody. I'd rather be able to have control with everything that I do and everything that I create, especially video content. So it was only natural to just venture over to Premiere and just kind of like learn it. And when I first started doing graphics, it was a pain because you had to, I mean, I was still learning at the time. So I was creating everything from scratch, scouring the internet, watching all these YouTube videos on how to create it from scratch. And it just took so much time to where it kind of got me out of the creative mode when you're just like so focused in on trying to make this thing look good. And then at the end of it, it was like, it doesn't look that good. And so when I got to be able to use like the essential graphics on Premiere, it was like mind blowing. Like, oh, I can look like I really know how to edit, and all it took was 5 minutes. So it was like heaven.
That's awesome. And you're using the Adobe stock Mogarts, which, as you show, I love that you show in your video. It's that easy. You could just go in, click on the Adobe stock button, and you can literally search for anything you want. There are thousands and thousands of titles, both free and paid for. And the ones that are paid for are going to the artists that created them. So you are supporting other artists as well, which is great. So, what advice do you have for new users who are just getting started on their journeys?
Well, for one, thank goodness for YouTube. You can find so many tutorials on YouTube. I've learned everything through YouTube. I went to university, and then also on top of that, it's just like, just have fun while you're doing it. Especially with the essential graphics, it takes the pain of trying to create something that you might be not at the level of doing, and you get to actually create the videos that you want to, or you envision yourself doing right now, even with like no editing experience. And that's why it's so beautiful.
I love it. It's like you get to success faster. You get to just like the tool gets out of your way, and you get to put your creative vision out there much more quickly. So I heard a rumor that you're a new father. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Yeah, it's been incredible.
Congrats. So,
Yes.
I mean, okay, I have 2 pets. That's it. And I somehow am producing probably about 0.05% of what you're producing. How do you manage your time to be able to create so much, especially as a new father?
Whew. There is no easy answer to that. Let's just say you're not going to be getting any sleep. And then also just very good communication of like, hey, babe, are you going to take her in the beginning of the day? Okay, cool. I'll take the half of the day. And so it's just that communication. But it's not easy. It is not easy. It was definitely a learning curve that I am still in the process of learning. But hey, we're here.
I love it. Learning a little bit more every day, just like that's the creative process. It's,
Yes.
we're parents of our creative explorations too, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so we have one question that came from Facebook, and I thought maybe you'd like to chime in. So I know that you do a lot of the editing for your partner's YouTube channel, Sham Booty, which is awesome. Which to me is a little bit like documentary work in a lot of ways too. And so someone's asking, like, what percentage of titles, if I'm understanding the question, it's how much or in what percentage can use of graphics be good in a professional video? Like I guess the question is like, how many graphics should I use? And is there such a thing as too many graphics? What do you think?
It's all in the taste, right? It's if it's adding layers to your videos, you can add as many as you want. We use a lot of graphics. Kind of to Chris's point, there's a lot of our audience who may not be able to watch with the sound on, or can't watch with the sound on for other reasons. And so just having those graphics keep people engaged. And plus, life is moving fast. They're getting a bunch of content thrown at them. They're getting a bunch of things thrown at them. So just finding new ways to keep them engaged, whether that is sonically, whether that's visually, color, location, background, and graphics definitely help with that like constant brain stimulation. So we use them a lot. Maybe we use
It's
too
like a
many,
hook.
but
I just had a thought that like graphics are like the hook in a song.
yes,
You know what
yes,
I'm saying?
exactly.
Like it's like that's that
Exactly.
thing that gets stuck a little bit and then gets you hooked in.
Exactly.
Dope. That's awesome. Well,
And it's also, I mean, it's also very subjective, right? And it depends on the
Yeah.
content. It also depends on maybe even what culture you're from, because in Japan, like there are always graphics in the frame, always. You always get some extra info, some extra emotions through some graphics in the frame. So I love the way that they do it in Japan. I think more graphics in the US.
more is more.
More
I
is
agree
more.
with that. Chris, you're the designer here. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I think it's important to establish your brand with color and design. I think graphical elements can really set you apart visually. There's, again, to the point about there's just so much content going on. If you can have a distinct look and feel that's yours and customize the layouts and add a little motion, maybe to direct your attention to certain areas of the screen, there's a lot you can do with templates that are just even beyond the visuals. It adds a lot of energy to the screen.
But it really depends on the
like that.
content, right? You wouldn't, and for some content you wouldn't want to distract.
The content. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's all in service of the story, if you will.
Yeah,
Annika.
That's right. That's
Yep.
a really good point for sure. Well, Jared, are there any last like inspiring messages you have to share with content creators out there who are just getting started, who are also attending the YouTube University School of Life? What, including me, I'm including myself in that boat. What you got for us?
Start it. Just start it. Start the thing that you've been thinking about. Just go for it. There's a lot of potential out there right now, especially with people diving more and more into digital content. And there is an audience for everybody. There's so many humans out here. So just go. And also the audience loves to see progression. So you don't need to have like the top notch of everything right when you start. I find that progression grows you closer with your audience. So if you're not starting it because you feel like you have a certain vision for what you want your style to look like, grow with the audience. They love that.
Man, I just got chills.
Such
That's
wisdom.
really good advice.
Oh my God.
I'm serious. I think I'm trying to I've been trying to start my animation journey for a long time. And I don't post anything. So I'm like, it's not
Go
cool
do
yet.
it. Post it
All
today.
right. We're posting. We will today.
Oh, she's forever changed.
Annika knows how inspired I get, and the German in her sometimes is like, this Mexican. I get my mariachis out. I get the mariachi band out when I'm like, I'm crying. I'm like, but really, if I had a mariachi band, I'd play it right now.
Hey.
Those are really good words to part with. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you so much. This conversation has been really awesome. I hope it's been helpful, at the very least inspiring to not be so scared and dip your toes in there. There's a ton of content already created that you can start playing with. You don't have to build from the ground up, like Jared was saying, where you might not feel successful because you spend all this time making something, and motion design is a complex thing, especially getting the emotion to really pop. So go play with some stock mogarts, go mess with some tools and some buttons, and as Jared said, go post today and start the journey. We've got another great show coming up next month. We meet here every month. So I believe the next one is on Wednesday, June 30th. And I believe Jason Levine will be back. And thanks for joining us today. I think that's a wrap. Thanks everybody in the chat. I don't know. What else we got, guys? Let's get that 4 up again. And all say goodbye together.
Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
y'all.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Goodbye. It was fun.
Bye.
Bye.